Well, hi everyone, and I'm looking forward to a fabulous Canada Day this year. It'll be a little different, but it's going to inspire us creatively. So the project is to everyone, children, adults, no artistic ability needed, find a rock, possibly from a local garden center or on your lawn, and from that rock, produce your own little piece of art and contribute to a town art installation. So I just have a little rock here. I have a water feature outside that I've been stealing my rocks from. It's been a good supply for me. And so this is just your basic little rock. So what I do to start a prep is I just clean it off. We have lots of bleach in the house nowadays. So I just put some bleach and water, make sure it's really rinsed off. You can use dishwashing liquid, but you just want to get the dirt and any algae or anything that might prevent the paint from adhering to it. So that's your first step. Let it dry with some paper towel. And then you can, one option to going forward to painting on a rock is to provide a base coat for the rock with white because the base coat will allow the other colors to be more vibrant. They won't kind of die in the color into the colors of the rock. So this is a rock that I've prepped in white. White's a good base coat. Now, as far as paints go, for the underlying coat, you can use a gesso. This is an artist product. It's a good sealer. You can also just use plain white paint. As far as paints go, because I have a supply of paints, because I paint, I didn't have to go out and buy any. And the paints that I typically paint with for this sort of thing would be acrylic paints. Oils are a lot of hassle. They're hard to use with children. So acrylics would be better. If you do paint, excuse me, I like the golden paint. It's an artist series paint, and there's Liquitex. However, these are not the paints that you'd want to use if you're doing it as a family project with children. There's some really good craft quality outdoor paints that are child friendly. Craft Smart is one of the brands. You can get that at Desserts or Michael's, the craft shop. And as far as the golden paints, you can get that at Desserts or Curry's art stores. You don't need a lot of paint, so paint will go a long way. In the craft paint, there's even iridescent paints that I used on one of my stones, and it had a really nice finish. It took other paints, and it worked out really well. So you might want to experiment with some of the iridescent craft paints. So after you get your white coat done, then you can decide think about your design a little bit, what you might want to, what message you might want to communicate and what colors you like. It's a time to have fun. So you can sketch that on a piece of paper. Once you're kind of happy, or you can just go for it and just paint the stone right from the start. But a nice way to do it is to just use a little graphite pencil and draw your design onto the stone. So I don't know if you can see it with the camera, but I've drawn the beginning of a design here, a circle with a maple leaf in it. And now another option is, before we go any further, is that you don't have to paint the stone. You can just paint on the raw stone, and that has a nice look too. So this is one of the hearts that I did a while ago with the bright pink. Just on the basic stone. This is one that was painted on the raw stone, and the paint does adhere. If the stone's clean, it does adhere. You get a lot of nice brightness, so you can go for that too. That can be a great look. So I started one on a raw stone. I haven't finished it, but it gives you a little bit of an idea. So I'm using the slogan, Oakville Rocks Canada Day. And so this one isn't finished yet, but you get a little bit of an idea. As far as brushes go, variety of different brushes. I mean, you can use just regular craft brushes. They don't have to be high quality brushes. I'd recommend some small brushes too, because there might be some fine detailing that's hard to do with a wider brush, but they don't have to be expensive brushes. You can buy them in sets of 8 or whatever. They're very easy. With acrylics, you mix with water. They're water-based. So if you want your paint not to be quite as thick, have a little pot of water nearby and dip your brush into the water, and you can mix colors. This, you know, so this is the palette that I use today. It's kind of like, I don't deal with a really neat palette, but I just, you know, you just put blobs of colors that you like, and then you can mix colors. So you can make an orange with a red and get just some different shades, and it's a lot of fun to do it that way. This is called a disposable palette, but basically it's like a piece of wax paper. So you can use that. And acrylics are great because they clean up with water. So after you have done your design, you can start putting your colors on. And that's when you can get really creative and do all kinds of things. As far as little inspiration stones, this is a little one that we had done for our project. This is a nice combination of colors. It's a black, using, the background was black, and then I painted on top of it. And so it gives a nice contrast. Contrast really works really well. The same with the science one, has the white background with black, and it really pops. So that's a good thing to think about. When you work with your graphite pencil, you can use an eraser so you don't have to worry about mistakes. And then you can, so what I do is I put the paint down. And another thing that I've found really helpful, because if you want to put a message that's not just a symbol onto your rock, you're going to have to maybe use some lettering. Lettering is challenging. You're going to need a narrow brush, but it's still challenging. So one thing that makes it a little bit easier, which I did on this rock, the RCMP rock, is I just used a permanent Sharpie, and you outline the lettering. And that just gives the lettering more definition. Like the word scientist here, which would have been a very hard word to paint, I used the permanent Sharpie. So, and there's also permanent Sharpies that come in other colors too. So that can help you with your design. That you can paint that color, but then you can fill in with the permanent Sharpie if you want a more definite edge. Just makes it easier. So the rock that I worked on today for the installation is this one. And it's got the Oakville Rocks Canada Day with the maple leaf in the center. And when you're looking for like inspiration, and then I did hearts around the edge. I don't know if you can see, just something a little graphic. When you're looking for inspiration, you can go online, you can Google all kinds of images. I had painted a maple leaf a while ago, so I used that as my inspiration for this maple leaf. Try to be imaginative, and I think you might have to be a little bit careful about copying anything that has a copyright, so just be a little mindful. I don't think it's that serious in this situation, but just be mindful of that. And I think that's the other pens that are good too are if you want a thin point, are the Pigma Micron Permanent. They're very small edge pens, very good. So once you've done your rock and you're happy with it, you can sign it on the back with your name, the location, the date. And this is a pretty significant date, so you might want to put that on. And then after you do that, to try to protect it from the environment, I use the Liquid Text, which is an art quality gloss, medium, and varnish. And it gives a nice shine to the rock. It helps protects it. This rock I haven't varnished yet. Very easy to use. Just use a wide brush like this and go over it. Don't go over it too many times or it'll get milky. Give it a nice sweep. And that'll help protect it. But you know, the UV light's very strong, and I really haven't found anything that totally protects from the UV light. So you could get some fading eventually, and then you can just touch it up again. With the acrylic varnish, you can paint over it, and you can apply the permanent marker over it again, and you can revarnish. So you can always, you know, fix it up if it gets a bit faded. I think that's all. It's just a matter of being creative, using lots of exciting colors, and just thinking to yourself, what is it, you know, that you want to put out there? What do you want to express and communicate? And I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful installation because there's going to be so many different interpretations, and that's just going to be great.